tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your #1 source in after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Get it, JT, get it. Oh, I see you in the back, son. What's up, everybody? I'm so excited. We got another episode of the after show, the #1 after show for Hell's Kitchen. This is, of course, season 13, episode 3. We did 2 back-to-back last week, and we are back again, and I'm so excited. JTE, how you doing, man? You good? You good back there?
Doing good, my man. Trying to stay cool.
Yeah, I see you. I see you. You was firing it up though. I don't know. You was keeping it hot. For y'all that can't see him, he was gigging back there. It was pretty major. So you know, we're gonna get into this, and I'm gonna start off. You know, I'm a little disappointed because you know, I had 2 picks that I really liked last week, people that I thought were gonna do well and go far, and you know, one of the people that I picked last week did not make it. You know, I'm not gonna tell you who, because we're gonna discuss that, but I'm just really my heart's a little touched, but we're gonna jump into it. So it starts off the episode, and normally what it starts off with Hell's Kitchen, it starts off with what happened in the aftermath of the last elimination, excuse me. So elimination happens, and so they go back and kind of, you know, after elimination is over, and of course we knew that last eliminated, it was somebody from the red team, and Deneen was one of the people that were put up. She was not eliminated, but she was put up, and so when she got back, she was highly upset, of course, and you know, she lashed out at her team for putting her up. So they had, I think they didn't, you know, they don't like her. I think she's kind of feisty, and she kind of talks back to everybody, and as you'll see, kind of she has some antics that they don't like to deal with on the red team. So she was a little upset. She was letting them hear it, you know, of course, but you know, that's what happens, you know, when you get up there. My boy Sterling, who is also my favorite on the blue team, he keeps talking about 100. Like, that's his slogan. Like, I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna do it 100. Like, it's hilarious. And I love it because it's Sterling. And like I said, he is definitely my favorite guy. And of course, he's getting on Bryant's nerves again. Bryant was the person he was agitating when we were talking about last episode, when they were eating that nasty garbage that they gave him for lunch. And so, of course, Bryant's getting agitated again. So I really feel that there's going to be, you know, kind of a feud ongoing between, you know, Bryant and Sterling, kind of going on for the remainder of, you know, while they're both still there together. But, you know, that's what happens. There's always rivalries that happen. So we get into what is like the first challenge. And so Chef Ramsay calls everybody in. All come in with their jackets. Believe it's the next day. And he calls everyone in, and basically he calls up you know, Deneen and Sterling. And so, you know, people on the team are thinking like, oh, because they were up for elimination the previous episode, thought like, oh, maybe he's going to remove them. And so he asked them to remove their jacket. And so, of course, like, everybody's like, what's going to happen? And then he gives them new jackets, but they look the same. So I'm like, interesting. What's going on here? Then he ends up giving everybody new jackets. So this is part of the challenge, which I thought was really interesting, because this is something I hadn't seen in the last 12 seasons. This is the 13th season, of course. I watched every single one, was excited about every single one. And they, you know, they do something similar, and they do a lot of things that are different. And this was something that was different that they had never done before that I remember. And basically what he did was he had recipes of different foods to make on the back of each jacket. So whoever's jacket that they had, so like Sterling on his jacket, it was the recipe on the back that he had to make. It didn't say what it was, but it just gave the ingredients and what they needed to do to make it. So this was a test that Chef Ramsay was giving to them about communication, because he was harping on them about their lack of communication. So this was a test for them to communicate, because evidently, unless you have eyes in the back of your head, which no one has. I know that was a saying my mom, used to say. I actually think she did, because I could never do anything around her. I think she had eyes back of her head, her arms, her knees, because she caught me in everything I was doing. Anyway, so you couldn't see it. So you had to rely on the person that we were there with, partner, someone on your team, to basically give you the instructions on how to make that dish. Basically everyone starts cooking, and some people are doing good. Some people know exactly what it is they're making. Other people are kind of a little perplexed because, as I said again, it did not give the name of the dish. It just said what to do and how to prepare. So some of the people knew what they were doing, but some of the people were kind of a little lost. So one of those people was Latasha. Basically, after everyone was cooking, there was 8 different dishes that were prepared, and he gave everyone, of course, each team had, the same dish, same 8 dishes. So he called everyone that had whatever dish, the same, up to go head to head. And Latasha was one of the first people called. And she, he asked her to describe the dish, and he basically says, it's a pie. And so it was not a pie. It was actually an enchilada that she made, but she thought she made a pie, which is interesting. Now, I love to eat, which is why I love doing the show, because every time I watch a show, I get hungry because they make good food. And I don't know every single food. I don't know every single dish that's out there, but I can pretty much tell what an enchilada is. I think I've had enough of them. And I also wouldn't think that an enchilada is the same thing as a pie. I don't know what Latasha was doing, she's a little confused. She obviously works in this profession. I don't know if she started the day before she was on the show. I don't know. But I thought it was really interesting that she thought an enchilada was a pie. JTE, have you had enchiladas before? At all?
Has Taco Bell ever had enchiladas? 'Cause that's the only way.
You know what? They actually have, they used to have this thing, I don't know if they still have, enchilada, which was like, it was like an enchilada burrito combination. Did you have that maybe?
It might have. I might have been abbreviated at the point, so I don't remember exactly what in my mouth.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Would you know the difference between an enchilada and a pie?
I would hope from hearing that, I would hope so.
Yeah.
Do they look different?
No, not at all.
Oh man,
not at all.
Now I want to try one.
Yeah, exactly. It was weird. It was weird. But I guess the way she cut it, she thought it was a pie because of how she cut it. Anyway, so everyone's bringing up their dishes head to head. They're doing their thing, and Aaron is one of the people that go up, and he makes shepherd's pie, which is a dish that is really good, and he gets a point for the blue team. You have Ro, who makes an empanada, and she calls it a tart, which was interesting, which is not correct, but she's part of the last round, and she's up against Fernando. And Fernando, of course, also made an empanada. And so at this time, they're basically tied. So if the blue team gets the point, they win. Red team gets the point, they win. And of course, the blue team has really been in a funk. They haven't won any challenges as of yet. So he announces that the blue team wins. And of course, blue team, they go crazy. They go ecstatic. They act like little kids, super, super excited. They're just like, oh my gosh, we won. Because, up to this point, they hadn't been, doing well. And I actually called them out. Maybe that's why they did. I like to think that. But I said in the end of the last of our podcast, I said that I thought the red team was going to keep the streak of winning, and the blue team was just going to keep falling down. But they actually pulled it together, barely. They won by 1. And their prize, which is a great prize, they get to go to Venice Beach and actually do some, what is it called when you go back and forth from one point to another? It's not... oh gosh, zip lining. Yes, they go zip lining down there on Venice Beach, and they also get to go to this amazing restaurant, which is on the roof of the Irwin Hotel, and it's supposed to be like really exquisite, really expensive food going on. And so, of course, that's their reward. The red team, of course, they get a punishment, and their punishment is that they have to grind coffee beans, because there's going to be a special appetizer that's going to be a coffee bean encrusted, or coffee encrusted, I should say, steak that is going to be made as an appetizer. So they basically have to grind all the coffee beans fresh, because of course they want fresh coffee beans that are ground. So, and my girl Deneen, who again is my favorite on the red team, she starts acting like a brat, and she refuses to grind the coffee beans. And her reasoning is she feels that she doesn't need to, because she wasn't the reason why they lost. Well, I'm sorry, Deneen, when you're on a team, you can't just say like, I did well and you guys didn't do well, so I don't deserve the punishment. Doesn't really work that way. I don't know what country she's from or planet, but usually when the team loses, everyone loses on that team. So sorry, Deneen, but you know, her thing was she was not doing it. She refused to do it. Of course, they had words because the other members of the team did not like that. She did not want to participate. So, and it's funny, so the men, they go ziplining, they do their thing, taking care of business. It's fun. A couple of them are scared. And then they end up going, like I said, atop of the Irwin Hotel to eat. And they end up having this amazing lobster course. And then the chef, that is the chef of that restaurant, brings out the dessert. And Frank, that's the, you know, that's the dude, the Guido dude with the hair slicked back, you know, Italian stallion. He likes the chef. Her name is Waylon Lucas, is her name, and he's really digging her a lot. So he said he liked the dessert and he liked the chef. So, you know, kudos to Frank. She was really pretty. So we go back to the kitchen, and we see that Deneen is back at it. And she is separating herself basically from the rest of the group. She is, they're getting ready to prepare, and she ends up setting one of the burners on fire. And this is like prep time, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is not even, they're not even cooking it. And she sets one of the burners on fire, and she's just, you know, she's at this state where she feels like, I feel like she's not caring. She's like kind of over it at this point, as far as like working on the team. Not that she wants to quit per se, but she feels that, you know, kind of everyone is against her and she's against everybody. That's kind of what she's doing. Now, my boy Sterling, you know, my favorite dude, he prays for the team before they start service, which I thought was commendable. And based on how they've been doing in the past, they probably could use all the prayer that they can get. And so I thought that was dope that he did that. Brian thinks that scallops are going to be done. So basically they start service, and they're getting ready to do everything as it goes. You know, the maitre d' opens up Hell's Kitchen. The orders are flying in, and you know, everyone's cooking. You know, so normally appetizers are first, of course. So they call it the appetizers. Chef Ramsay calls it the appetizers, and then whoever's on the appetizer station gets it going. So you have Sterling, who's on the scallops for the appetizers, and you have Brian, who's kind of working alongside of him. And Brian, for whatever reason, thinks that he's like has to kind of cover you know, Sterling, like kind of be his mentor. They're kind of all on the same level. So I think it's a little early to kind of take that lead, but that's what he ends up doing. And so he's kind of telling Sterling about how to cook the scallops. He's like, I don't really think they're done. You shouldn't send them up. Sterling's like, leave me alone. I got this. I know how to cook. I know how to do it. You know, it's good to go. And so he brings it up to the pass. And Chef Ramsay looks at it. And of course, you know, Brian thinks that, you know, he's going to be sent back. Chef Ramsay asks who cooked the scallops. Brian says that it was Sterling, and then all of a sudden he says good job, and Sterling is like, yeah, I knew it. And Brian looks kind of crunchy. He looks kind of molded. That's an old term back from the 80s, but yeah, he got a little molded. And I thought that was dope because, like I said, again, I am Team Sterling. So he needed to kind of be put in his place. Sade, who was on the red team, she ends up kind of taking charge. She kind of starts calling out, you know, as the orders are being repeated, kind of calling out times, how much on this, how much time on this particular entree, whatever's going on. And she, you know, is kind of doing the most. Again, of course, whenever someone asserts themselves in Hell's Kitchen to take charge, they end up getting some kind of backlash, you know, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast, simply because they're all in a competition, unless they're put in some type of, and even if Chef Ramsay appoints somebody, which normally he does not until towards the end of the season, when it's only a certain amount left, but normally he is looking for a leader, but sometimes people do it prematurely, or they do it and they don't know how to talk to different people, and Sade was doing this at this point, and you know, like I said, it seemed to work because they started getting things out. But again, whenever, you know, you're being told what to do by one of your peers, you're not going to like it too much. And then, of course, you had, you know, the people that were doing the appetizers, which was the coffee ground steak. Ro was doing it for the red team, and they had a celebrity guest, which they normally do. They usually have several celebrity guests at dinner service. And Wendy Williams, talk show host, and she's also a radio personality. She is basically one of the guests there. And so Ro is at her table doing the tableside appetizer, and a big flame goes up, and Wendy Williams basically says that her wig almost got burnt off. I thought that was hilarious because I didn't think it was that close to her wig, but she was obviously a little frightened. And of course, Ro was a little embarrassed because, you know, this is a celebrity. She's trying to, you know, be good in front of them and kind of impress them. And so, but, you know, it looked like she completed the service there at the table and got them what they needed. And it looked like it was good. Going back over to the blue team, they end up hitting a little bit of a roadblock. And what happens is Chef Ramsay gets mad. Some dishes came up that weren't prepared correctly, and so he basically brings them to the back storage area, which I've seen quite a bit in some of the later seasons, that he kind of does that. He either takes the team back there, or he's taking like different individuals that he kind of needs to talk to. They usually will have kind of a powwow, and then, you know, kind of get their head together basically and come back out. So what he did was, and this was actually kind of funny, he brings them back there and he's like, man, you got to get together, blue team, you know, you got to get with it. I want you to deliberate, and I want you to come out fired up. And so he leaves out, and so the men start following him. And he's like, no, you need to stay and deliberate. You need to talk amongst yourselves and get it together and then come out. And they're like, oh, okay. So that part was kind of funny. And so, you know, they start talking and you know, kind of getting it together, what they need to do, and how they're going to, you know, go forward. So then they come out. It's kind of like a huddle in the sense in football. So they kind of get the huddle down, they go out, break, you know, and then they're off back in the kitchen. And so they actually start looking like they're gonna, you know, do well, start improving. You actually, but you know, there's a little bit of hesitation. Bryant actually, who was the one that kind of feuds with my boy Sterling, he actually served raw fish, and him and Sterling actually got kicked out for the blue team, which it was like kind of detrimental because, you know, they had this powwow, they go out, do their thing, and then all of a sudden, you know, he messes up. And so it kind of brings them a little bit back. So, and then it's like Sterling got kicked out with him. So it was kind of interesting that Sterling got kicked out as well. And it was like, he didn't really do anything. So I felt bad for my boy. He got kicked out, but you know, it was what it was. But the interesting part is the blue team does complete service for the first time in Hell's Kitchen in this particular season. So so it actually worked out. It worked out. On the other hand, on the red team, you have Kaylin, who serves lamb twice. That's raw. She's cooking the lamb, and they keep complaining because she keeps opening up the oven, you know, checking on it. But as you know, again, I'm not a chef or a cook. I kind of cook to survive. That's how I get down. However, I know some fundamentals, and I know one of the fundamentals is your food is going to cook faster if the oven door is closed. That's just something I kind of picked up along the way in my years on this earth. She did not pick that up, I guess, because I guess she kept opening up the doors, you know, quite frequently, and it wasn't cooking the lamb. And she sent it up twice and it was raw. She did end up sending it a third time and it was fine, but twice she sent up raw lamb. So she does recover. Frank, on the other hand, he is confused. Frank is Guido, my nickname for him, and he's confused. He's on the garnish. So the garnish are like things that go with the entree, and he's kind of all over the place. And he started out that way, And it was like he was that way like throughout the entire service. So quite interesting. And he was running all over the place, and he ends up getting thrown out because he throws up some bad garnish. It's supposed to be, I can't even remember. It was supposed to be one thing, but it looked like it was something totally different. So Chef Ramsay kicks him out, and then he ends up kicking out the entire red team, which I was shocked because, again, yeah, they weren't doing too great, but I didn't think all of them needed to go out. And it was interesting because they were actually getting Wendy Williams' order. It was her order that was getting ready to be put up, and they gave up the order of the table, and then something was off, something was raw, which is normally is. There were some other things that weren't good on it, and they ended up, he got mad and he sent them all out, the whole entire red team. So Wendy Williams did not get her food, and you saw her face, and it was interesting because she just was looking like, no, like she was just devastated because she was not going to eat. And yeah, I'm sorry, Wendy. I'm sorry you didn't eat at Hell's Kitchen. The blue team, as I said before, does complete service for the first time. And so they're ecstatic. They're happy, even though a few of them did get thrown out. But because they completed service, they did not have to deliberate to send someone home. So everyone that got thrown out, you know, they were safe. So I'm sure they were glad about that. So the red team, of course, does have to deliberate. And here we go. We have my girl, Deneen, who is the firecracker, and she starts arguing with Kaylin. And they start arguing during the deliberation about who needs to go home, because of course it looks like it's going to be Kaylin and Deneen. Kaylin because of the raw lamb, and Deneen just because she just, you know, I think more so Deneen, it was because of her, you know, her actions prior to service, you know, her not wanting to grind the coffee ground, excuse me, her not wanting, you know, just lackluster, not wanting to help. But it was interesting because Kaylin did say that Deneen did not ask for help, and they did pan back where Deneen did ask her if she needed help, and she refused. So Kaylin got caught into a lie, but, you know, neither here nor there. So truest fashion, because they were ones deliberating when it got time to who got sent up, I was pretty confident that it was going to be Deneen and Kaylin, and sure enough it was. They both got sent up, and of course they plead their case. But it's interesting because Kaylin immediately throws Deneen on the bus, which I didn't like. You know, instead of kind of, you know, saying her piece why she deserved to be there before, I don't think he even asked her anything. She immediately starts throwing her, Kaylin starts throwing Deneen under the bus. And so that was kind of a cheap shot. That wasn't cool. Whatever. He asked them why they should stay in Hell's Kitchen, as he normally does. They both gave their piece. And unfortunately, might have to get a moment's silence, but Deneen is eliminated. Wah, wah, wah. We need to have like that that music, that JTE, that music when, you know, when someone gets something wrong on the game. Yeah, exactly. But I was just so hurt. My spirit was hurt because I liked Deneen. I really liked her. She was my favorite from the first 2 episodes that they showed last week. And she goes home. And this happened to me last season. One of my favorites last season got sent home like in the 2nd episode, and I was just crushed. So this needs to stop happening. You guys that are my favorites, you need to stay on the show because you need to continue to be in my favorite zone. And I can talk about you and hype you up, you know what I'm saying? And boost up your Twitter and all that kind of stuff, because that's what we do here at AfterBuzz TV. We boost people up. So anyway, she's eliminated. It's unfortunate, you know, it happens, but you know, it is the nature of the beast. Somebody has to go home. It was Deneen's time to go home. Interesting part is normally after he sends somebody home, you know, that's it. Show's over. They go into what's going to happen next episode. No, there was actually some time left. They go back. So usually if they go back and they're still rolling after someone has been sent home, that usually means something is going to happen. And sure enough, they go back. They're kind of sitting around. This is the red team now, sitting around talking. And they go back and we have Jen, who's kind of been silent. She hasn't really been in any drama or anything going on, nothing really standing out in the kitchen, but she looks like she's going to pass out, and she's just kind of sitting there, and she just looks, you know, looks like she's lightheaded, and then all of a sudden she just, you know, keels over into the couch, and then they start calling medic or whatever, and then of course the big "to be continued" comes up, you know. Hell's Kitchen always does that. They like to keep you on the edge of your seat all the time, and that's what I like about that show. I do hate when they do that though, because then I'm like one to see what's gonna happen next, and then I have to wait a whole nother week. So Fox, shake my fist at you, but at the same time, it keeps me wanting to come back, which is why I love the show. So that's the show. That's what happened. It was, in true fashion, it's always got a lot going on. I think that I'm glad my boy Sterling is still holding strong because now he's essentially my favorite out of both teams because my girl Deneen is gone. So I do got to find another favorite in the red team. There's a couple of people I'm scouting, to be my favorite. I'm kind of watching their progress. I got a couple of irons in the fire of who I'm going to choose. But I think by next episode, I'll be able to do that. But right now, ultimate favorite, my boy Sterling. So I really want Sterling to be on the show. So hopefully in the next couple of episodes, we can have him call in. And I'm enjoy talking to him because that's Mr. 100. He's going to always keep it 100. But right now, we are going to get into predictions. And that's what we're going to do.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, so as I stated before, they stopped the episode with Jen passing out or appearing to pass out and having to call the medics. So of course there's going to be something with that. My prediction in that particular situation is I think that she's going to be okay. I don't think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to keep her out of the show. I don't think she's going to have to leave. I think it's just one of those things that they're kind of setting up for drama sake, but I think she's going to be okay. I think maybe she just, maybe got a little overwhelmed or what happened, a panic attack or something like that. That's not too serious. As far as the progression, now I'm going to have to change my tune. I originally said that the red team was going to kind of take control like they've been doing the last couple of seasons. And now I have to say, I think the blue team has a good rhythm. I think the red team now is crumbling. So I guess I think the blue team is gonna start taking control. I think that even though there's differences, like any team that's been on Hell's Kitchen, it's never always harmonious. I think they're able to channel their differences or kind of dispel them more so in the kitchen. I think it's that way when they're outside of the kitchen and they're kind of just, hanging out in the dorms or what have you. But I think in the kitchen, I think they're learning to work together a lot better or a lot faster, I should say, than the red team. So I think when it comes to the dinner service, I think the blue team is going to start excelling. As far as the challenges, I don't know. I think it's still a toss up. I think it's anyone's game. I think they're all kind of even in that regard. Of course, as you know, as the earlier episodes go, some of what they call the dead weight or the people that aren't as good end up getting eliminated. So then both teams end up simultaneously getting stronger. But I think that, both teams are still kind of equal at this point. And I think it's just going to keep continuing in that vein. But like I said before, I think the blue team is going to have the better services, or probably going to win more services as far as that goes. And then I think it's just going to be the same as what it always is, which is drama. Now that Deneen's gone, I think there's going to be another, I think Kaylin is going to kind of take that role as kind of like the villain, if you would say. So I think she's going to be on one that's kind of take that, and then people are going to start kind of turning on her. So I think she's going to take that role now that Deneen's gone, and we'll see. But that's my predictions for right now. I do want to thank you for joining us, as you always do every single week. My name is Lem Gonsalvez. Again, I didn't say it at the beginning of the show, but I'm telling you right now, remember that. And you can always find me on the social media all the time. I'm all over social media world. And you can find me on social media at The Poet Saint, and that's on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Poet Saint all day, every day. That's how I roll. Again, like I said, I want to thank you for joining in. Next week, we got some special things going on, so you want to make sure you tune in next week. We got some surprises. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I want you to make sure you come back. But we got 2 major surprises coming next week, so you have to tune in. Like it's a must. Like it's like something you have to do. And if you don't do, then you might not survive the next day. I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to put no much on it. But I want to thank you for tuning in. Y'all have a good week. See you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.